All right. The meeting is now streaming, Marissa.
Hello. Good morning, good evening, and good night.
Whenever you're listening, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's way cool. Okay. Are you needing to be a co-host, or are you
just
good to go?
On.
Awesome. Let's see. There you are. Fantastic. Let's get this thing recorded, shall we?
All right.
We are recording. This is great on platforms LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook.
We are?
Yeah. And one other one, Twitter.
Is it really?
Yeah, absolutely. We're branching out, Marissa.
Well, I know, but I didn't think we figured that out, how to do it for the meeting.
That's why we've been down here for a half hour. I've been working behind the scenes, getting it all ready to go. This is awesome.
Sweet.
Athletes, viewers, listeners, welcome to One-on-One Live with Coach Blu. This is our weekly show where you can participate by jumping on either the Zoom platform or jump in and be part of the Facebook Live group. And as I'm saying this now, I'm realizing that I didn't let me post the Facebook link. So that's a little weird.
So yes, I see you are live on Twitter.
But how do we get them onto that? So should I email you or text you this code so that you can go on into the Facebook Live and maybe boost our little post there so people know?
I can do that after you've started. But is it just the password? And
yeah.
Oh, I can grab that off the website.
Okay. So I have it right here if you need it. I can text it to you.
I know.
Okay. If you need it, let me know.
And if anyone's out there trying to get on, or you want to get on other Wednesdays, if you just go to our website and you go to resources, recovery tools, and I think the top post is always, I try to keep it at the top, One-on-One with Coach Blu. It has links so that you can get on. Let's double check we're on the same one. Are you doing passcode 611420?
No.
Well, there we go. That's a problem.
There's the first problem.
Yeah, text me that.
You got it. It's coming at you.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Jump on any platform. We're excited to be able to branch out and give you guys this information. This is a resource that we want you to be able to use and really kind of, I guess, get into the mindset of no question is too big or too crazy or too out there. We want to be able to help support you by participating on this call. I think sometimes we get a little bit nervous, like, oh, I sound funny on the radio and all that stuff. Don't do that. You never know when something that you have to give to somebody who's listening, it could definitely change their life. I think that we don't think about that too much, right?
No.
It's funny. It's like I remember a teacher telling me this. Like, if you're raising your hand in the back and you're hesitating or whatnot, don't put your hand down. Because guaranteed there's somebody else in this class that's needing
thinking the exact
same question. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting how I'd say how collective we truly are in recovery. So my name's Coach Blu Robinson, founder of Team Addict to Athlete, licensed mental health therapist and substance use disorder counselor. The logo, which is the Addict to Athlete Erase and Replace, that's our athletic director, Marissa.
Hello.
She's a certified recreational therapist and, like I said, the athletic director of this team. She's the glue that holds it all together.
I try.
You try and you're doing.
Sure.
Absolutely. I want to share my screen because I want to show you guys something super awesome. We have launched our extracurricular recovery clothing line.
Yep.
And so let's jump in here and show you guys what we got going here. And for the podcast, I'll probably edit this part out because you guys can't see this on the podcast. But if
you're listening on the podcast, grab your phone right now.
Yeah.
And go to addictathlete.org or .com.
Yep.
Go to the team store.
Team store down there. It's extracurricular recovery. And we got to fix that because it's spelled wrong. But if you click on that link, you'll see all of our new gear, all of our new merch, as you call it, Marissa.
Yep. So we have lots of things. We have hiking, softball, rock climbing, play, trail running, adventure, yoga, heal the soul, run, inspire, stay wild, stay free. There's lifting,
I like this
weightlifting
psychology one
tanks.
right here.
Yeah. Cycling
And the get
ones.
outside one is brilliant.
Yeah.
So the reason why we created, why don't we talk a little bit about our extracurricular recovery program?
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about it. Why?
So I am a recreational therapist, as Blue just said, and recreational therapy is using recreation and using activities to bring about change.
Mm-hmm.
And the root word of recreate and recreation is to recreate, and that means to bring new life and to recreate again. And that's what you do in recovery. You're creating new life. And part of doing that in a very healthy way is how you spend your free time and your leisure time.
Yeah.
So, part of recreating your life is becoming, some of those other names instead of just an addict, that you then become a trail runner, you become a hiker, you become a cyclist. And how do you recreate your life in your free time?
I love it.
So we tried to come up with we still have more in the making, but we tried to come up with a lot of different logos for different recreation activities that people enjoy. I love this one, Life is Better in Recovery.
Yeah. Yep.
Happiness and joy. And
the cool thing about this too is it's so unilateral. It's like, sometimes people say, well, I like Addict to Athlete, but I'm a muggle, but I have a loved one that struggles with addiction. That's what extracurricular recovery is for too.
Yep. It's anyone and everyone.
For everybody. This is the one I'm wearing now. I love this shirt. This is Josh Hansen designed this logo. It is absolutely my favorite. And the shirts are super lightweight.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so nice. But we have our whole store open. But I wanted to share with you guys just these new logos and some of the stuff that we've got here. They're men's and women's. Marissa does really good trying to get some good textures and whatnot, right?
Yeah, there's a few I'm still adjusting because I'm like, I don't love that shirt. It's not as soft as I like it. So I'm changing a few. But make sure to look, there's quite a few that are different. So please click on, I think right there on the right side is view size chart.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And make sure that you're really measuring for yourself, because I have a lot of different brands.
We learned that the hard way when we did our cycling kits last year.
Yeah. So because there's different styles and different brands, they have different cuts. So make sure the one you put in is,
the one that you want. So.
That it really measures and fits right, because some seem to fit a little bigger, some a little smaller. So make sure you check on those.
And this is all drop shipping. So you order it right from this website. It ships out to you. So wanted to just share that with you guys. Again, you can jump on addicttoathlete.org or .com, whichever you feel more partial to, and check it out. We've got our team jerseys. Everything's on there. So I wanted to share that with you because I think it's neat to show all the work that's going on behind the scenes. All proceeds go into Addict to Athlete to help us create more and to get bigger. And that's why we want to do this podcast for you guys. So
some of that just helps give back to us, but it also is a way that you can promote yourself, your recovery.
Your erase and replace philosophy.
Yeah, we want you to do it. So please, please, please.
For sure.
Jump in.
Marissa.
Yes.
No One Left Behind race coming up.
Yes, March 27th. We are doing just kind of a smallish.
It's going to be a test run for the bigger one later this year, right? Coach Jensen wants to see if we can actually pull this off. So we're going to do a discounted rate for all the guinea pigs, we'll call you.
Yep.
To come. You can join teams of 3 to 5. If you are a single runner and you want to run with the team, we can get you on a team. And so I was talking to Coach Ashby last night, and she was talking a little bit about being able to help put people into groups if you are a single runner. And the niche is you have to all finish together.
Yep. Not just finish. You have to start, run, and finish together. It is running it as a team. It's not a relay. It's not anything like that. The point is that you are together within 20 yards of every person on your team. No one's further than that the entire race. Now,
this could bring out the best or the worst in you, I'll tell you. But when I've seen races like this, the coolest part about it is the unity that's created. And so it's about these experiences that help strengthen this team. This is, your support system. It's kind of in real time what Team Addict to Athlete wants to, I guess, kind of edify and strengthen, which is, you have a team behind you. Mm-hmm. And, you could have a set of 5 just ultra runners, but if one person's having a bad day, everyone slows down. Everyone takes the time. This isn't about getting there first. Yeah. It's about
getting there together.
Getting there together.
Yep.
And we'll be having some random drawings and prizes and stuff for all that stuff too. But how do they register for this? What's the best way to check in? I know we got some stuff on social media.
Yeah, I think right now it's listed in our Addict to Athlete Home Base Facebook group as an event, but you can just go to Venmo, Addict to Athlete Robinson, and pay there. It's $20 per participant per runner. Make sure you have your teams together and list that in the description. And please email Jed Jensen, jed@addicttoathlete.org if you have any questions or maybe just a confirmation, hey, these are the ones on my team.
Yeah.
So that we know.
Yeah. Pick a team name. It's going to be awesome. And again, this is just kind of the tester run. So yeah, we want some of your feedback and all that good stuff. So jump in there. We'd love to have you. All right. We do have a few more announcements, but we can wait till towards the end to get some of those.
I'm trying to think. Oh, our fireworks show. We do have a limited time. We have a fireworks show every July done by athlete Rob Rich. It is phenomenal if you are around or close to Utah County.
It lasts almost an hour.
Yeah.
If not longer.
Yeah.
Like it's become quite a spectacular event, hasn't it?
We get together, we have a barbecue, potluck, we play games, the kids can come. It's a big thing. And looking on the news, it looks like COVID may be really, hopefully.
And we did it last year during COVID.
And we did, but we
socially distanced ourselves.
We did socially distance because we go to a huge park.
Yeah.
And this last year we didn't share food. Everyone just bring your own food. But this year it looks like it may be a little safer, but time for us to get out, get together and recreate.
I think we've all been hibernating and socially isolating for so long that this will be probably one of the bigger events that we have. It's our 10-year anniversary on Team Addict to Athlete that'll be happening in May. But the fireworks show that Rob Rich puts on is phenomenal. I say it outweighs the Stadium of Fire. I'm going to put it out. I think it does.
I like it because we're closest. We're close to it.
Yeah, you can get right up there and get the shrapnel dropping on you.
Yeah, right? It's a fantastic show, and we love that Rob does it. And so
we're trying to raise money for this.
We have a fundraiser going on our public page. I've shared it to a few other pages. If you're able to donate, he needs to order ahead of time so we have it. So we've got to get the order in by the end of March. So that we have all the fireworks. So if you could get on, donate $20, donate what you would usually pay for fireworks for your family. If you usually go to the store and get a $50 pack, get on there and do $50. It's easily going to be worth it.
You will not be disappointed.
You will not.
We've had great. We've been doing this. We were trying to track down how many years now. We're looking like 6, 7 years.
It's like 6 or 7.
Yeah, and it gets better and better each year. So jump on the Addict to Athlete Facebook page. There you'll find the fundraiser, and man, I'm telling you, and if you're struggling for finances and stuff, we understand. We still want you to come. So, help out where we can. All right. Well, let's jump into this one-on-one live with Coach Blu. This is our weekly call-in show where we answer questions from you, the viewers, the listeners, from the athletes, and from people that maybe have just bumped into this program. Mm-hmm. We then in turn put this into tomorrow's podcast so the folks that can't be here can listen to it. But we have lots of questions that have been submitted already. I don't know if anyone submitted anything to you yet, but so I can start over here on this page if you'd like.
You can start.
All right. This was an interesting one. It came through and I was really intrigued by it, Marissa.
Okay.
It said, "Hey, Coach Blu, how do I start dating now that I'm sober?" That's a big one.
Yeah.
It's a big one. This is cool because it's scary. Mm-hmm. It's time. It's all this history. It's trying to reestablish, the qualities that you have.
Yeah.
And it can induce a lot of fear.
Yeah.
Now there are programs out there where they say, hey, No dating for 1 year, right? Have a plant first, then get an animal. And then if you keep those things alive, then get into a relationship. I wholeheartely disagree. And I understand the principle behind it. I really do. But team addict to athlete, and maybe not even romantic relationships, but we are about relationships. It's what we've found works best.
Yeah.
The opposite of addiction is relationship.
And connection. So you're not saying you do not agree with waiting for romantic relationships?
I say that to each his own.
Okay. And
I think that if we follow this plan that I kind of wanted to put together here, that it'll make it a little bit easier. You have to know when you're ready. I also know that there's so much change that happens, and we are reestablishing who we are, that first and foremost, I believe you have to be completely honest with yourself, and you've got to be forthright. You've got to have a deep understanding on where you are, honestly. Yeah. Because I also know there are people out there that are really sad and scared to be alone, and they rush back into relationships. And so the first thing I would say is, how honest are you with yourself? Yeah. Can you be okay to be single for a while, right? Well, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be a year. Yeah. I'm just saying that I don't think there should be a playbook or a rule book on it has to be 365 days, because
it's not like one person's going to be ready at 365 and not 350.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 400. Everybody is different. But yeah, when you're using, you lose that sense of self. You're numbing pain, emotions. A lot of times there's severe loss of self-worth and self-esteem. Yep. So when you get sober, you're trying to find out who you are. Yeah. Trying to be able to regulate your emotions, your understanding of life. What do I like? What do I not? So make sure you spend quality time with yourself, getting to know yourself before you ever try to bring somebody else.
Getting to know yourself, get to know your worth. Okay. Yeah. And this is a big one. If you've ever spent time in Coach Blu's therapy circle or group therapy, you know that we've talked about this extensively. And that is, know what you're worth. Do not dumb yourself down to fit into someone else's paradigm. It's a big deal, right? How much are you worth? What are you worth? We've talked about this in past podcasts. That's kind of hard to say. It's a tongue twister. Yeah. We've talked about this in the past where, how much are you willing to sacrifice to not be alone? I don't think that's appropriate. You should know how much you're worth. And if the people that you're associating with aren't willing to emotionally invest in you, be cautious about establishing a relationship with those folks, because they'll use you as an obstacle. They'll use you as a vehicle to get to a place that they want, right? To get a leg up, or they'll treat you as a roadblock. How about as an equal? Right. And so you've got to be cautious with this. So be honest, be forthright, know your worth, be very cautious and careful about testing your willpower with these situations. I've seen this a lot where, my girlfriend, this love interest I have, they still drink, they still use. So I think I can handle it, though. I think I'm strong enough. Avoid testing your willpower. Right. And we talk about this a lot. Try holding back diarrhea with willpower. Yeah. How long is that going to last? Yeah. Not long. Watch for signs of codependency. There's a big one, right? Yeah. So codependency. So codependency.
Again, that just comes out to that addiction thing and wanting somebody to take care of you or you take care of them. Why? To distract from yourself, usually.
And a lot of times I've seen that folks that are in treatment or in recovery themselves, on the team or whatnot, they're doing great, but they attract that same kind of mentality. And it's like this. Codependency occurs when you rely almost solely on another person for your sense of worth, approval, and identity. And so I've seen a lot of people who have started relationships while they're in early recovery, who that person comes in and they become codependent on them. Yeah. And no. We want to avoid that at all costs, correct?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Allow your recovery or your sobriety to be a value that you bring to the table and to the relationship. And when I told you this, when I said, hey, there's this question, what do you think of this? Yeah. How cool is that? That you allow your recovery, your sobriety to be what you bring to the table in the relationship. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, that's kind of a cool thing. Like, this is an attribute that I have. This is a strength that I have. my being actively engaged in recovery. These are the things I've learned. This is the things I've established. This is, who I am. You bring that attribute to the table in a relationship. That's fantastic. You don't have to feel less than or downtrodden. You can use that as a source of self-worth.
Yeah. Because being able to overcome an addiction is incredible. Yeah. It's real strength and
it's a superpower.
Yeah. So share it. Talk about it.
Yeah.
Share what you've learned from it.
Have it be an attribute that you can contribute to that relationship. I think it's fantastic. I would definitely start earlier than later with practicing how you're going to bring up or even talk about your recovery. Okay, you're starting to date, you're starting to get out there.
I know that gets scary. When do you tell somebody about your past? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you remember those shows we used to watch, like Blind Date? Remember early 2000s when we first got married? Hey, by the way, I have an anniversary tomorrow with you.
We do. We have an anniversary.
We have an anniversary. That's going to be 21 years.
21 years married.
Holy cow. That's insane. I've known you for a long time. Yeah. Anyway,
I still like
always marching forth, right?
Yep.
That's so cool.
Now everyone else will never forget our
everyone
anniversary.
Else remember, yep. The only other day of the year that's also a command, right? March 4th. But practice how you're going to bring this up. And I bring that up because I remember when we first started dating, we'd watch that show, Blind Date. And they'd had cameras following around these people on their very first date. And it was always just kind of a mind screw of just chaos. Like it was like masks coming off too fast. It was like, trying to,
like they're just
get under the covers way quick. And it was just weird and awkward. And it got me thinking, I'm like, when is the perfect time to bring up said issue, said recovery, right? I see with something this sensitive, it should be discussed probably pretty early, right out the gate, because again, let that value be what you contribute to the relationship.
Yeah. It's not something like you're waiting for this specific time and it has to be like this certain conversation. Like it should easily be coming up in conversation with other people. You should be comfortable enough talking about it that you can just bring it up, about to anyone and not have to be afraid. I hope.
No, I like that. Yeah. So if you practice kind of how you're going to introduce that topic, when you do have that opportunity to share of yourself to someone else, it'll be part of your story, right?
Yeah.
Pace yourself. This isn't a race, So pace yourself in that relationship. It's a scary thing. It's a hard thing. You're recreating your life. It's like we talked about in extracurricular. You're recreating you. And so there's going to be some ups and some downs. And there'll be some people that you'll see still want to try to invest in you as if you were the old addict.
Yeah.
And those are the people that you can kind of move on from, But again, I think it's to each his own. I think if you can follow some of these steps, and I'll post these steps that are the advice to the, to the links so you guys can have them. But yeah, it's a good question. It's always one of those things where you can get 1,000,001 different kind of answers.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why self-awareness is so important. As you grow, as you get better, it's getting to know yourself and what are you ready for? What are you not? What can you handle? And are you learning to love yourself? Because there's no way you're going to be able to love anyone else until you really learn to love yourself first.
Yeah. Learning how to love yourself and then learning how to be loved by someone else. It's a two-way street there. That's going to be a bonus episode in our Patreon, by the way, the stages of love.
Yeah.
It's a big one. All right. I got more here.
I'm trying to think. I thought there was something else you didn't say on that I was going to. Oh, we talked about, it's probably important to look for a significant other outside of the recovery community.
Yeah.
I know that is not a popular answer at all.
Well, why, Marissa? Why would that be a good idea to do?
Because that's opposite should attract. It should be, good relationships have a healthy balance. And you and I do that, not only because I'm a muggle and have never used, but things you're good at, I'm not. Things I'm good at, you are. We bring out the best in each other, but we also balance each other. And I believe if there's a lot of people think, oh, well, if they've never used, then they won't understand me and we can't get along.
That's garbage.
That's garbage. Because also if you're in recovery and moving forward with life, that shouldn't be your focus, is your addiction.
No.
It should be everything else. So
Right.
it shouldn't really matter.
Right.
I mean, having some understanding and empathy, I'd hope you would find any significant other that has empathy and love,
Yeah.
no matter what you've been through.
Well, here lies a really difficult challenge. And again, it boils down to, again, what we talked about, know your worth, right? There are things that we've done in our past that we may feel or believe that we can be unforgiven for. Like, I cannot be forgiven for this.
Yeah.
And so you'll go into a relationship feeling less than.
Yeah.
And you know what? I would love to have a relationship with someone that doesn't have an addiction, or that after an emergency, both of us aren't running to the liquor store because we're one crisis away from relapse.
Yeah.
But I also know, just through personal experience working with so many folks over the years, is that they don't believe that those people would want them because they're quote unquote damaged goods.
Broken.
That's not appropriate thinking, is it?
No, that's you not loving yourself.
Yeah.
Again.
And that's in here, right? Again, that's in here. Being
Yeah.
able to like love yourself.
Absolutely.
And it's a hard one because, again, who wants damaged goods? That's not you being honest with yourself, because you're not damaged goods at all. And it bothers me when we get that mindset that now I have to lower myself down here because no one up here would want to invest in me.
Mm-hmm.
That's garbage thinking, people. And the nuts and bolts of this is hard. And I can only speak from personal experience. It's what I've seen over 20 years of working in this field. 20
years of
And
experience.
that is, I've never seen long-term relationships that have addiction in common by which you've used together work out. It's hard, man. You're one crisis and one emergency away. And I'm not saying that those don't exist, because I'm sure they do,
But 20 years, that's quite a bit of
there's
experience.
Some good experience.
You've seen
there.
hundreds, if not thousands.
And I'm not saying it's not possible.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you why I haven't seen it, which is kind of a hard thing to swallow to a certain degree.
It's just not statistically, it doesn't work usually.
Yeah,
but again, statistics are made to be broken. So we're not saying it can't happen, but it's going to be much more difficult to make it happen.
Yeah. I know some people that have worked dang hard, that have had some ups and some downs that are still together. But it gets nerve-wracking when they start having, the boat being rocked, or what happens when a crisis occurs. I'm not saying that you shouldn't pursue people that have addiction in common. What I'm saying is that you have to be true to yourself. You've got to, again, be honest with yourself. Don't test your willpower. Watch out for codependency. Allow your recovery, your sobriety to be a part of the experience, right? Yeah. Pace yourself. Practice how you're going to talk about it, and know your worth. You can do those things. Who knows what could happen?
Yep.
Right? We're not meant to be alone, people. We've got to share these experiences with someone else. It's a beautiful thing. And it's a great question. It's a great question. And I my heart goes out to the individual who posted this.
And it's scary.
It is scary.
It's scary. I can't imagine dating nowadays. I'm grateful we found each other 21 years ago.
That was like 21 years ago.
But again, I think you were still struggling with, are you worthy? Are you?
You were way out of my league, kid. I think I suckered you into marrying me.
How did you get past that?
What really was cool about
our
it?
Anniversary.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. The cool part about that was, and I remember telling my stepdad, I'm like, I like that blonde one over there, but she is way out of my league. And he's like, what do you mean? And he's giving me the old pep talk and stuff. But I'm like,
it's like, oh, you can.
Yeah, but I'm like, you don't know her, man. I don't even know her, but look at her. She's gorgeous. And I just remember kind of thinking, all right. And that's why I didn't let you all the way in, because I didn't think that you would spend time with someone as broken as me.
Yeah.
And so I, just kept up the facade and
hidden.
Yeah. But the coolest part was when you and I got real with each other, our masks came off, and I realized that although different contributors and characters in life, we both had similar feelings growing up. And when I realized that you also carried a history, some emotional turbulence, I thought, wow, okay, she gets it, And then it kind of, like I said, it enamored me to the point where I'm like, how did you go through the same feelings I went through, yet you didn't pick up anything?
Yeah.
And that's when you said,
because you weren't trying to compare your pain versus my pain. It was just like experience sadness, loss, pain, trauma.
Yep.
And pain is pain, instead of trying to compare like, oh, I've been through it worse, so they wouldn't understand, or I'm not good enough. It's just, we've all experienced the same emotions.
Exactly. And so I think that's kind of where I thought, you know what, I have nothing to be ashamed of, but I have everything to gain by being open and honest and held accountable, And so, yeah. And it's funny, 21 years, we still are rough around the edges. You know, I love it because it's not simply it's not just racing to death. It's like the experience, whole experience. It's like, growing old. Not really. It's like healing together.
Yeah.
We're not growing old. We're healing together.
Yeah. We're still learning and getting better, and we make mistakes, and
put our foots in our mouths every once in a while.
Piss each other off sometimes, and have to apologize, and but that's
what relationships are all based on.
Yeah, being humble and continuing to communicate and talk about it. But
I also had to be very open and honest too. I had to be honest with myself and forthright, because I needed to put my money where the mouth was, right? Like I had to say, all right, if you're going to believe in me, then I need to believe in myself. Yeah.
So those of you who don't know, Blu was very secretive about his past. Mom married at 14, and all his kids had different dads, and moving lots, and
lots of poverty, lots of
abuse, and so you didn't want to share any of the things that you had been through.
Yet last night, as we were sitting outside of the home-based meeting talking with Ginger and Lana, and we were talking about my family system, it didn't even embarrass me at that time anymore, because I'm like, this is hilarious. Like, this is crazy that like a little bit of emotional validation, and that we can hear all the crazy stuff, and that you and I are so strong together. Does that make sense? Like, I don't have to like be mad or upset, or does that make sense? Yeah. Like it just felt good that you understood it. Yeah.
And that only comes from you communicating it with me.
Yeah.
But we had a friend that luckily cared enough about Blu that kind of brought it to me that he'd been lying to me about a lot of things. And we
my buddy Donnie Zola.
And we had to kind of get it out on the table of what we were really going to do. And
the only time I was speechless when you called me out, and I'm like, I got nothing. Yeah, that was a pivot point.
Yeah.
And it was cool though, because it was worth investing in, and I didn't know what the future would hold for us, but 21 years later, look at, and I'm not going to like get too high up on the horse here, but look, I really do consider you and I to be somewhat of a powerhouse in understanding this kind of stuff, because we are able and willing to talk about it.
Yeah. But we went through quite a long time of therapy. You went through a long time by yourself trying to figure it out, figuring out yourself before, that's before our therapist said too, is, you might want to talk about these things before you're jumping into getting married, because we were pretty close to getting engaged when I found this out. So that was all put on hold.
Thank heavens Don intervened, because I wouldn't have said anything. I would have taken it to the grave, and it would have come out later in life. And then I would have followed the same footsteps and patterns that my mom did, Man, I can't even fathom that. I consider myself very lucky. Know your worth. That's one of the biggest things. How do you start dating when you're sober? First and foremost, know what you're worth. You're worth a lot more than you're probably going to think you are. So be cautious with that. Great question.
Yes.
Great question. I've got more.
Okay.
All right. This was a funny one. You got lots to say about this. How long, Coach Blu, how long does it take for my family to trust me? I know I should be patient, but I feel like they are constantly raising the bar of trust on me. What do I do? So, man, I mean, almost like, perfect timing for what we were just talking about with the trust stuff, right? I'm a firm believer that trust is not earned. Trust is a gift. And I've learned this many times over. I remember one time my cousin was wanting to take his dad's Bronco to prom. And all summer, man, he was trimming hedges. He was mowing lawns. He was doing everything he could do to prove to his dad, my uncle, that he was worthy to be tossed the keys to this freaking amazing Bronco that was just decked out. It was a sweet ride.
Yeah.
And it comes back with a little Rocky Mountain pinstriping, and he loses all privileges. And I remember thinking, that sucked because you did everything you could to like earn that trust. Yeah. And because something happened, all of that was for nothing.
It was taken away instantly.
You know? Yeah. And I got thinking about that. I've always pondered that in my head, and it got me thinking, you know what? Trust cannot be earned. If we try to enforce trust through a bar that we raise, you'll never reach it. Eventually, you have to gift the trust to said person. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that if it's a gift, it can also be taken back. It can be saying, hey, you know what? You're not ready for this yet.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's different because how do you keep score? Do you have your book and you're like writing down everything inside that you're doing? And, you know,
when you reach and earn, you know, this many tokens of good behavior, then you've got trust.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think number one, remember that trust is a gift. It's not earned. The second part of that, I would say nothing hurts more than that feeling of being lied to by someone that you love and that you trusted in the past, right? Mm-hmm. That feeling of like deep betrayal, right, can really, I think, you know, cause feelings of you know, just anger, frustration, sadness, depression, all that stuff. Sure. And so you have to understand that there's a reason why you've earned not being trusted.
Yeah.
Right.
Being honest with yourself about that. Okay, my behavior has brought on this, you know, this is a consequence of my choices and my behavior that my family or my spouse can't trust me. We talked about this on previous podcasts too, as I was trying to, involve myself in your life with your family and my lies came out. I remember, you know, the sibling conversation. You know, so-and-so doesn't trust Blue because of his history. Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't blame him. I wouldn't either. I'm kind of a crazy bugger. I wouldn't trust me either. And I remember saying, I'll show them.
Yeah.
21 years later, I know they trust me, but I'm still feeling like I want to show that I'm taking care of their sister, that I'm a man of my word, that I'm establishing integrity.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I'm like, it was cool because it didn't bother me when she said that, because I'm like, I don't blame her.
Yeah.
If I was looking at this like on a book on a page,
instead
I'd be like,
I've been good for a few months. Why can't you, you know? Yeah. But I can see there's certain situations where somebody may give you trust in certain situations, but not in others. And that's how they test it.
Right.
But I think if family, it's really up to you personally. If family is continuing to, well, if you do this, then that's good enough. And then you do that. And then they're like, well, but if you don't, you know, you've got to do this. And then if you don't do that, well, or if you do, and then they just keep putting that line out further, you need to really ask yourself, is this relationship worth it?
Is it worth it?
You know,
yeah.
And maybe it is. Maybe you want to keep going and keep fighting for that. And maybe you don't, because I know that there's many family members who like to throw that into their loved one's face of like, well, but you're the addict. Yeah. Well, and you're the one that messes up. It's not me. And okay, if you're getting that degrading and backward, you know, slices every time you do something good.
Yeah.
You may want to question.
You're going to stop.
You may want to question. Well, but make sure you're not doing that to them as well.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, the communication.
Then let's break it down, right? Then first, I think you forgive the others and the stakeholders in your life first. Meaning, how about you release them first? You know, like the others, which are like, you know, friends, you know, associates, coworkers, stakeholders, people that have a close stewardship in your life. How about we look at forgiving them first, so that we're not doing a quid pro quo thing, of this for that, right? Like, I'll forgive you for this if you do that, right? And so I think part of that too is being in the concept of mind of like, all right, I'm going to forgive that person and this person, and I don't care if they forgive me or not, but I'm going to forgive them. It's a big one. The next step comes when you kind of look to establish that trust within yourself. Because if you can start trusting yourself, and I'm talking about you've got to be 100% honest with yourself. If you can start trusting yourself, it will ruminate and people will see it and they will begin to trust you because they're like, wow, he's making decent choices. He's making some progress. I can see the sweat. I can see the work, right?
Yeah.
And then finally, gift that trust that you've established in yourself to the people that you still feel like need to trust you. So what I'm saying is that you are in the pilot seat the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if they trust you or distrust you. Do you trust yourself? Have you forgiven people that you felt like might have wronged you? And can you trust other people with their intentions, their motives, their actions?
Yeah.
If you can do those things, the residual effect, they will begin to trust you. That gift will come. That's how I see it anyway.
Yeah.
But like you said, the question was, I feel that they are constantly raising the bar. If they're raising the bar, we have a problem.
Yeah.
We have a problem.
And some of it maybe they did think they were going to trust you, and now they're recognizing that they're not yet. And so sitting down and having a really healthy conversation about that is going to be important. Or is it just because they want to just keep putting it out there because, what's in their heart? What's the reason behind it?
Yeah. Well, I wrote the truth about trusting someone else is that the only certainty is that there is no certainty that they're going to trust you again, right? I mean, it's like, that's the only certainty. But if you're waiting on them to trust you, you might as well be watching paint dry.
Yeah.
If you can to your own self be true and you are following that pattern.
That's one of those, letting go of the things you can't control. You cannot control when they're going to be ready.
Absolutely.
To trust you. You can only control your behavior in living a trustworthy and honest life.
Wouldn't you say that if you're looking for that trust, it shouldn't be given to you yet? Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm sorry, but I'm like, if I was constantly looking for you, Marissa, to start trusting me, and I'm like, come on, like, what is this? Wouldn't that kind of raise an eyebrow to you? Like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
But because it was so natural, I remember, you guys, when Marissa and I met 21 years ago.
Yeah.
I hadn't even finished high school yet. I was a high school dropout.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm going to be taking adult classes and all this stuff. And I've tried to take adult high classes before this, but I'm like, all right, I got to get this done. Because one of the things that Marissa told me is that, look, before we get married, you got to have your high school diploma. You should have been the class of 94. It's 2000, man. Come on.
Yeah.
So I did. I started going. And I remember one day I'm sitting in my classroom, just kind of like daydreaming. And I look out the window and I see her car drive by. And I'm like, I wonder if that was her. I'm like, no, there's probably more cars like that out there. And then I'm sitting there and I look over and I see her peeking through the window of the door.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the crap? I remember I got kind of upset. And literally I'm thinking, what the heck? She saw my car out there. She didn't trust me. And it hit me, hey, dummy. You earned her not doing that. And then it hit me why you do that. She went that far out of her way. Now, granted, I've seen people get so up in arms. Oh, you're checking up on me, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'm not talking like that kind of stuff. I'm saying I was kind of blown away by the fact that she loved me enough to go find out the truth, to get out of the car, to walk into the school, to pray to high heaven that when she peeked through that window, I'd be sitting there because I said I would. And it was the first push to say, all right, he's where he's supposed to be.
See, and that perspective change for you was huge for both of us to be able to work together on it.
100%.
Because I needed that. And I kept saying that, like, if I know you didn't want somebody following you, but each time I went somewhere and you were where you said you were because we'd had this horrible history, it was just like this little drop in the bucket of, okay, I can trust. Okay, here, he's building some of that trust for me to at some time give that gift back.
Exactly. And so, a lot of humility had to be kind of brought on board. But I loved it too, because again, I looked at it through the eyes of she cares enough to check. And that's never happened to me. I never had anybody that cared that much to invest time, And so it's a big deal, So you didn't trust me. You had no reason to trust me, but you did. You checked up, and I don't know. I still think that to me is one of the most amazing things that you did for me, which kind of made me feel validated too. Like, okay, this is cool, So, and maybe because I really at that point was done with the history of lying, and I was way done with the using by then. But I still had all the attributes of a
But
user.
it took, I think, a lot of humility on your part to be like, it's okay to have her check up and
Yeah.
because I know she can't trust me.
Trust is a big thing. Even now, 21 years later, like my phone, you can grab it anytime. You can search histories. You can do everything. Why? Because I have nothing to hide. And I love that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I have no vices. There's no pornography on there. There's no like swirly conversations happening. There's been times when you grab my phone and you're like, why are you saying this to this person on text messaging about you being so busy when you have time? And I'm like, no, because I want to just relax. And I love it because you'll call me out on those things. And I'm like, all right,
well, then just tell them.
I'll see how you say that. Does that make sense? And so I love the fact that you can grab my phone, all this stuff, and I have nothing to hide. It's a beautiful feeling.
Yeah.
So anyway, how long
you can follow me around if you want. You can check anything on me.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that too. It goes both ways.
Man, I trust you so much. Yeah.
I know you don't care where I'm at.
I don't care where you're at.
I'm like, maybe you should call and check in. Like if
I don't care where you are. Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's cool. Well, it's like today, I'm like in a therapy session. I come out and you're like nowhere to be found. I'm like, where are you at? You're like, oh, pedicure.
Going to get my pedicure, my birthday pedicure. I'm like, well,
we talked about that, but there you go. Yeah, it was cool. So no, I like it. It's a great question. But if you're focusing on them waiting to trust you, you're looking down the wrong, set of binoculars. Don't
let go of that control. You focus on what you can do and being a trustworthy person. And that's the best thing for you.
100%.
So I had a question just submitted on Facebook.
Okay.
It says, how do I help my husband not lie to me about drinking?
Oh, like it. This is that whole thing about the trust that we're just talking about right now.
So some of this, I think we may have answered a little bit.
Yeah, but let's dive into that. Marissa, let's start with you because although I believe I was the best liar known to man, because I learned from the best, you figured it out. Yeah. So, and we've talked about this early on in our relationship. We talked about this. Blu, when you mess up, just tell me.
Yeah.
Because my mind goes to 1,000,005 different places and I can create a horror story.
Yeah.
And the reality is it's smaller than that. Like it's not as bad. But if you don't tell me, if you don't talk to me about it, I'm left guessing and I'll guess wrong. So what do you think about this? This is a big deal. It's a good question.
So you have to be able to communicate, like, hey, it's not, you've got to be, I care about you and I love you. And why do you lie to me about it? Would you please tell me? Is it because I freak out? Is it because I cry? Is it because of this and that hurts you?
Let's deep dive in on the why a lie. Why a lie? Okay. You remember when we started talking about like, I don't want to disappoint you or what, and those were legit for me. I didn't want to disappoint you. I didn't want you to know that I was weak.
Were there times that I freaked out and you didn't want me to freak out? Yes.
Yeah. But that's again, whoever this person is talking about it, in real time. Yeah. But for me back then, it was like, I had to kind of just accept that.
Yeah.
But it was hard, but I did. I didn't want to make you mad. I wanted to show you how great I was.
But we talked about that. I said, you're going to disappoint me and I'm going to disappoint you. If we try to hide that always, it's not going to be a healthy relationship.
No.
And
why lie? Right? There's a reason. Remember we were talking this with your buddy Joel, and Joel's like, oh, people lie because, I can't remember how he put it. He made it sound like it was something like a blame shifting thing or something. Like like the person lying was, I wish I could remember how he said it. You remember?
No.
Yeah. He said it like it was like a moral issue. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not that though. It's about self-preservation. Yeah. It's a defense. Protection. It's a defense mechanism that, if they find out who I really am, I'll lose this person. And it's hard that way. It deals with addiction. It deals with pornography, alcoholism, anything. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So we've got to take kind of the scorn away from, we'll call it the sin, right? Yeah. The violation, the drinking.
Yeah. Make it a little bit less
we have
scary.
To take its power away.
Yeah.
Why is he drinking? Right. Let's start with the basics.
Yeah.
Why is he needing to drink in order to feel comfortable? It means there's depression there, right? There's probably some emotional baggage there. How much do you know about your husband beyond that he's drinking? What do you like the book, John Gottman, right? He talks about this a lot. How well do we know our spouse?
Yeah.
Why is he drinking? What's the stress? What's the issue? What's the crutch? It's hard.
Yeah.
But he's probably dealing with some demons.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want anyone to know, because if us alpha males have issues, have vices, have problems,
we're not perfect.
Yeah. What happens to us? We have to carry the family. We're the breadwinners, right? There's this machismo kind of like mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we feel less than. But what do you say to her? How does she ask questions to avoid the argument? Because the minute she starts kind of poking and saying, hey, you're still drinking? What's going on here? He's going to react to that.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to let go of his issues. Right?
Well, I think you need to understand addiction and lying go hand in hand.
100%.
No one can do one without the other. So if he's actively using, it's going to be difficult to think he's going to be really honest,
mm-hmm.
because he's hiding and he's trying to cover that. But because it's such a simple, it's just a habit that comes in when somebody starts getting clean. They've just naturally been lying about just simple things. And so they just naturally will lie about it because that's just a habit.
We talked about this on the Agents of Recovery podcast with me, Max, and Brock.
Yeah, Max Hall. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that too. For a long time, he would just lie to his wife about things when he had been clean for a while. And even he'd catch himself and be like, why did I just lie about that?
Yeah.
Or his wife started to say to him, wait, hold off, Max. Hold on a second. And think about that before you answer, please.
Remember, you said that same thing to me.
Yeah.
You're like, think before you speak. And I'm like, well, I feel stupid. So I'm like sitting there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, this is what I mean. I think first and foremost, the emotional safety needs to be established in the home, right?
Yeah. In that relationship, you've got to be able to trust each other.
I love you,
but
I won't love you to death.
Yeah.
I want to help you through this, but you've got to do the heavy lifting.
Yeah. I can't do it for you. I can't, I'll support you. But we've got to be able to have an open, talking relationship.
It's exactly what you said to me when Don spoke about this and all the secrets were out.
Yeah.
You flat out said that. Look, I love you,
mm-hmm.
but you've got to do this yourself.
Yeah.
The coolest thing, Marissa, is that you didn't try to rescue me.
Yeah.
That was it was hard for you to do too, because that wasn't your pattern.
No.
And so this situation, I think, would almost be, to a certain degree, we don't know the backgrounds as well, but the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I love you, but I don't want to love you to death.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know how open their communication style is.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is
therapy and counseling is huge.
It's huge.
Very.
There's got to be open communication, because there's going to be a lot of reaction. Even
mm-hmm.
if she approaches this person with like humility
mm-hmm.
and love and compassion, there's still that feeling of like, I'm going to bite you. I'm going to fight you. I'm going to get this.
Well, and if your spouse is drinking, that's not the time to discuss it, because first off, they're probably even going to be more reactive, but then later they might not even remember it. So why have this big conversation and then really it's been erased? Yeah. So you have to really find that timing too, to be able to bring some of that
and
up.
Remember, the drinking is a symptom of the problem.
Yes.
There's something else going on there. I would take a stewardship check of his life. What's
mm-hmm.
work like? What's family like? Where's he feeling he's coming up short? I really do believe that a lot of us guys using that to make up for like issues and things that we just don't have control over. And I think that when we start feeling less than, we start feeling like we're not producing, we're not creating, we're not building a life. We get complacent and we get depressed. And I think a lot of times depression, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
And so, it depends on how far down the rabbit hole you want to go too.
Yeah.
Because you and I have made tremendous sacrifices for emotional and mental health.
Yeah.
We've moved to Southern Utah. We've,
mm-hmm.
surrendered ourselves to service. We've done a lot of sacrifice for our mental health. Even right now, this is why we're leaning into Team Addict to Athlete so much, is because this is our passion.
Yeah.
And we're not making lots of money to do lots of awesome things, but we're happy right now. And and I hope we're producing content for people. But the thing is
that brings them value.
You and I have had conversations about this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have that conversation with your spouse, you can't, because there's a substance in the way.
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you become the person that needs to make all the decisions. And that might be where she's feeling right now.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's a hard spot.
so first and foremost, I would definitely say to know that the alcohol is a symptom. It's not the problem. There's something else pushing that always.
Yeah.
Right. I would say, hey, if your husband doesn't want to come to counseling or therapy to talk to somebody neutral, maybe you do.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's scary, and being able to even just say, hey, I am hurting and I'm using this substance to numb myself and I feel awful about it. I feel like a horrible person and I don't even want to talk about it, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that sometimes there's that fear, there's fear of like self-sabotage? Like she's going to leave me anyway. So I might as well just speed up the process.
That happens a lot. Yeah.
And then I'm
she
sure
doesn't really love
there.
me, or I'm not worthy.
She's
like
better off without me.
Yeah. I'm not worthy of her anyway. So I'll just get ready to do it now.
See, because that could be a real issue there. Because if I would have thought that with you, this whole situation would be very different right now.
Yeah.
Well,
we wouldn't be celebrating 21 years of marriage tomorrow.
I'd probably be at a viaduct somewhere.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And again, you can say, no, I love you. Like I said that to you, you are worth it. I love who you are, even those broken pieces. But if you don't learn to understand that and love it and love yourself and know that you're worth it, even with the brokenness, it doesn't matter, because I can love you forever and say, oh, you have so much potential and I support you. But if you never get to the point of believing that yourself and believing that you are worth it and that you have something to give, you can't do it. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah. I like your advice of watching and waiting for that time too, because no matter what, he's going to be reactive. He's going to control talk and try to keep it close to his chest because he doesn't want to lose that coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And so the thing you have to do is be able to stay in what's called search talk, which is help me understand the why. And it's not like saying,
help me understand.
It's not bringing a list of things he's done wrong.
No.
It's you saying, help me understand why when you come home, this is what you want to do.
This is where you're going to try to get into his heart and his mind and find out where he's at. That's it. There's nothing else on the agenda.
Yeah. And guys, we have to stop trying to be the alpha males. We have to be able to feel. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you have to be a touchy-feely kind of, emotional weeping mess, but to your own self be true. If it wasn't for Marissa saying, hey, Blue, take a look at what this family system's doing to you. They're keeping you sick. And I remember I'm like, you don't have a clue what my family needs. And then it started to hit me. I started seeing and noticing things of like, wait a second. If my mother loved me, she wouldn't put me through this. And I started seeing things. And that's the thing is, I still love my mother. We don't have a strong relationship, but I still love her.
Yeah.
But I started investing in what I knew I could love and be loved by, which was you, and then ultimately our children. So guys, we have to knock off the tough act, and we've got to start getting in tune with who we really are. I'm not saying you have to be a blubbering mess. What I'm saying is to start being mindful of who you are, of what you bring to the table, about how important you are in that family system.
Yeah.
Men were the only people in a relationship that chooses to leave. Moms have a little harder time with that because they carry the children. There's this bond. We bail when stuff starts getting hard. That has to stop.
Yeah.
You want to change the world, guys, we got to step up. And so if your wife comes to you and she's like, I'm worried, don't just try to placate her into surrendering and saying, oh, there's nothing wrong. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Say, you know what? I am stressed out of my mind because of this job. I hate it. I'm not happy with it. Stop getting out of that fear mentality where you feel like you're going to lose everything.
You've left a couple jobs because your mental health was at risk.
Absolutely.
And was it scary? Absolutely. You didn't want to do it because you were like, oh, I need to provide. And at the time, both, every time that's happened, I wasn't working. And so it's like, how can we can't really do this. I have to do it. And I was like, I would much rather have you happy and healthy than going to work hating it every day.
Absolutely.
And it's always worked out. It's not like there's been huge gaps, in being able to make ends meet and have money. And it's so much better to do something you love
Yeah.
But you can't keep that hidden because of the fear of what else will come.
Yeah.
You just have to.
Yeah. And guys, I need to tell you this too. We're not supposed to be the alpha males beating our chest like King Kong. We are supposed to be equally yoked with that woman that we are building that relationship with. We have to have her at our side, moving forward. Because if we try to do it all of ourselves, if we try to get the best house, the biggest toys, the biggest truck, the coolest exhaust system, whatever, you're missing out on all those small attributes that really make this life worth living.
Yeah.
You are putting yourself into a corner of debt, of depression, of anxiety. For what? So that you can one day be divorced? Come on.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm serious. We've got to step it up, because guess who's watching? All of our kids.
Yeah, the little ones.
The little ones. Family systems, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So do you want your kids to grow up emotionally unstable, fearful about relationships, isolating?
Yeah, struggling with, significant others and trust and communication.
Yeah, I don't know. I could get on my high horse on this from the soapbox, but goodness, first and foremost, understand that he's going to be reactive. You stay in that search mode. We've got lots of stuff on Addict Athlete. In fact, our Patreon page, if you subscribe to Patreon,
$2 a month,
you have a whole lesson on core communication.
And you can get all the free content for just all the bonus episodes for $2 a month. But we also have a ton, over 100 now, podcasts that you can go back and listen to.
Jump on our webpage.
Many of these topics, anything that, please go and listen.
If I can be of service through therapy, let us know. Reach out. Instant message Marissa. She'll send you that. We can get things going that way.
Yep.
There's a lot that can be done. Know that that's the addiction. That's not your husband.
Mm-hmm.
That is a coping mechanism, and it's a defense mechanism. He's using it to suppress something. And he may be scared to death to talk about it, because we don't want to show weakness. We want to show the alpha male. We want to show that we got it together and that we've got all that. And then also one day we have a stroke or a heart attack because we carry too much of it around.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not the way to live.
Absolutely. So, find that time, stay in search talk mode. Know that it's something else. It's not the alcohol,
It's progression. You're not going to get anything overnight and instantly, like I've always said with you and with clients that we've worked with, if they're working and moving forward, if they're trying, then that's what we can work with,
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm not going to push, I'm not going to pull, because if you start pushing them or pulling them, that will never work.
No.
That's trying to control everything. And that's where codependency comes into play. But that means, maybe relationships need to end, or maybe boundaries need to be set. And
our home base meeting last night, talking about taking your mark, knowing who you are when you're early in recovery, hits and touches a lot of these issues that I think you might need to talk to your husband about. So I would highly recommend jumping on either the Facebook page or our YouTube channel to go back and seeing the home base meeting Athletes Take Your Mark.
Yeah,
because that's about
last night.
Yeah, that's about what happens when you need to start hitting the pavement and start moving forward.
Yeah.
Great question. We're almost out of time.
Yeah.
Went by fast. Do you have anything else over there? Because I've got questions, but we can wait till next time.
Well, we're at an hour, so maybe.
Awesome. Athletes, viewers, subscribers, thank you so much. I want to give a special shout out and thanks to our Patreon subscribers. We at Team Addict Athlete, Marissa and myself, creating our extracurricular recovery program, which we're excited to be launching here very soon. We want this to be our full-time job. To help serve you and to help serve our community, to help erase addiction and replace it with things of greater value. The only way we're going to be able to do that is with your help.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like just taking people's money, like, hey, donate to us. I want to give something back, which is why the Patreon subscriptions are so amazing. For as little as $2 a month, you can get the bonus content. We have tiers that you can pick from, each coming with a specific amount that you'd like to donate to Team Addict Athlete. That comes with perks, merchandise,
exclusive merchandise and bonus content,
all kinds of cool things. But I want to give a special shout out and thanks to all of our Patreon subscribers. You want me to read them this week?
Yeah.
All right. Our super fans, we've got Jerem Thurston, Coach Tara Butson, Holly Davies, Scott Foster, Coach Chris Williams, Brett Fruit, Chelsea Olson, a new super
And
fan.
we have a new super fan this week.
Antonio
Thank you.
Dominic. When I saw him come through, I'm like, I love that guy. I haven't seen him in so long. He's got
That's
a heart the size of Texas, that guy. So thank you so much,
Thank you,
Dominic.
Antonio.
Antonio, thank you so much. And of course, the Warrior Within podcast and personal development by Sensei KP. He just got a new podcast out today too, I saw. So I'm going to go listen to that after this. But, thank you guys so much, our super fans. The rookie level subscribers, Josh Hansen, Kenny Roseman, Gary Thurston, Earl Dyer, and Joe Jackson. Thank you all so much. I love that rookie crew.
Yeah, they're good ones.
Just like those super fans, great people. Our pro level donors. Thank you so much, Selena Armitage, and my favorite guy on this whole page, Gary Thurston, the father-in-law. I can't wait to get down there and cycle with Gary in Southern Utah. And of course, our championship level subscribers. These two families just blow me away.
Yeah,
I cannot thank these two enough. The Shad and Freya Robinson family, and all those cute little stinkers they've got. I can't wait to push Emma and to do some fun stuff coming up.
Yeah, it's getting warm.
And of course, Ron and Dee Loesch. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Dee, we got your message. Your stuff's coming.
We're getting it ordered. We had just put in another order, so we're a little behind, but
absolutely,
we're getting your hoodie and things done.
Absolutely.
So
and stay tuned, Patreon subscribers, for your bonus content, because we do have a bonus episode that will be dropping probably tomorrow. So stay tuned, and we'll get you there. I want to thank Radio Ronan, Chunga, Josh, Spencer, and Chandler for allowing Addict to Athlete to be part of our podcast. If you need more podcasts, even outside of this, go check out our new podcast, the Agents of Recovery podcast.
Agents of Recovery.
Brock Bevel, Max Hall,
Blue Robinson. NFL.
Yep.
It's a great one.
It's a good one. So athletes, viewers, listeners, thank you so much. I can't wait until next week. I love Wednesdays because of this. It's so fun.
I love doing it.
So jump on the Patreon, patreon.com/Addict to Athlete.
Yes, Patreon.
Yep.
Thank
you, Chunga. Night. I figured that out after Chunga kept saying /.
We were doing backslash.
I'm on /. So I'm like, Chunga's right.
Have a great night.
Have a great night, athletes. Go turn that